When you think of a parent that has a child, and that child isn't yet able to speak any sort of language, when the child starts crying or is bothered by something and starts expressing it externally, whether it's crying or screaming or whatever it is, restlessness, that child isn't able to communicate to the mom or the dad why they're crying. So it's literally a responsibility on the parent's behalf to sort of troubleshoot and diagnose what's wrong with the child. And this is obviously maddening to new parents, or I'd imagine any parent, where you don't know what's wrong with your child, but you better figure it out, because if you don't figure it out, they're gonna keep crying, they're gonna keep screaming, they're not gonna be alleviated from their pain. And it's up to the discernment of the parent to diagnose what is wrong with my child. And this directly has to do with the fact that the child can't speak in words. The child can't say, "Mom, I'm hungry," or "Dad, I want your attention," or "I'm really overtired right now," or "Yo, I got poop in my pants, bruh." The child isn't able to communicate that. So what they resort to is a gross level expression and manifestation of emotion. And it's completely natural. It's an expression of emotion because they aren't getting their needs met. And they can't really have their needs met through communication because they can't speak any sort of language. So it's the parent's responsibility to sort of discern and troubleshoot, as I said, what's wrong with the child. And something I learned very recently, and it's funny because I didn't really learn it. It was reiterated to me. It was something I've known for a long time, but again and again keep forgetting as my life goes on, because that's what sort of learning and awakening and transforming in our life is entailed by, is a series of standing up, walking, falling, standing up, walking, falling. So what I realized about 2 weeks ago now was that essentially our body doesn't speak in words. It speaks in feeling, exactly like a baby would. It's not able to tell you what's wrong. Because when you think about you, what you are, what comprises you, or at least let's say who you think you are, is your thoughts. You're living in a world of your own thoughts. You're living in a world of your own concepts and models of thinking. And a lot of us, over time, we get lost in the sauce of our own minds to such an extent that we lose touch with the feeling dimension of ourselves. And what this begins to create is a dissonance between body and mind. And our body is like a conduit. When we're chilling, when we're flowing, when we're aligned, our body acts as a vessel through which our highest good flows. Where when your body, mind, and soul is in union and it's aligned, and I don't mean to use the sort of stereotypical spiritual words of alignment and this kind of stuff, but it really speaks to the analogy that I'm sharing here. When you come into alignment, it allows your higher self, or the highest good that's meant to be expressed through you, to be born. It allows it to be born. But a lot of us get, over time, what I like to call spiritually lopsided, where we live in one dimension too much. And, when you think of, when it comes to gardening, toxicity is too much of something, and deficiency is not enough of something. And what often happens in our lives, in the way that we're raised and in the way that we just operate from day to day, is we have a toxicity of mind. Not necessarily a toxic mind, but a toxicity of mind, meaning too much mind, too much thinking. We think that we can think our way out of it. We can think our way through it. We can rationalize our way through the maze of our life. Because oftentimes our feelings are so visceral and so raw and so reality and so attention grabbing and sort of all-encompassing that we don't like the intensity of the feeling dimension of ourselves. So we live in a world of thought. We live in a world of rationalization of, oh, that thought, those feelings, whatever, I got this. I can think my way through it. I just need to figure it out. I just need to sift through the maze. I just need to, tie off all the untied ends. I can think it. I can figure it out. I know what I'm doing. I'm smart. I have experience. We think. And all the while what this results in is leaving our bodies and our feelings behind, off in the distance. And so what happens is it creates, as I stated a moment ago, dissonance, where your mind is saying one thing but your body is saying another thing. You think of the common example of, you have a couple and one of them is really upset, obviously upset about something or other. And the other one says to him, hey, are you all right? And they say, I'm fine. The mind is saying one thing, but the body is saying otherwise. That's dissonance. The mind and the body are in disagreement. Where the authentic thing to do, because that person is obviously not fine, but doesn't want to admit it for some reason or other, whether it's, they're ashamed of their own feelings, or they think their partner won't care, or they are embarrassed to admit that they're feeling the way they are. What results from that dissonance is more tension and more resistance. And the authentic thing to do in that moment would be to admit that you're not fine. The idea here is to bring the mind and the body into agreement. Now see, I made a video just last week or so talking about how, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I had a nervous breakdown. And I'm not going to get into the great details, but I have a lot going on in my life right now. And what was happening was, over a period of 3 days, I began to experience this seemingly unbearable anxiety. It was debilitating to my day-to-day life. It was interfering with my work and with my relationships and my creativity and my expression and all this stuff. I was experiencing just this monotony of worry. My body's saying something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. And see, what I was doing was saying, oh wow, my body feels really weird right now. I'm feeling very anxious. It's probably because I'm thinking negatively. Here, I better think positively. And so I tried to sort of snub out the anxiety by just thinking positively. I tried to create a counterbalance of the negativity by being overly positive. And I'm fine and it's okay, and think positive thoughts and affirmations and all this wonderful stuff, right? Because that's what it's taught is, oh, don't think negatively, you gotta think positively. So what I came to was, oh no, all this anxiety means I've been living on a low vibration, and I need to up my game a little bit and think more positive and be more positive. But what this did is it resulted in sort of a landslide of more and more anxiety mounting within my body. And it got to the point where I gave up. I said, okay, I feel like shit right now. I feel horrible. I'm anxious as all hell, and I don't know why. I essentially just gave up. I knelt down at the seat of the at the feet of the universe. I said, I don't know what to do. Help me. And in a single instance, that anxiety, because what characterizes anxiety is not knowing why it's there or whatever. That anxiety got a face to it. I realized why I was so anxious. And it occurred to me like that. And the second I realized why I was so anxious, the anxiety completely gave way. It was like a dammed up pipe that slowly gives way until it's just pouring. And when it started pouring, the anxiety transformed into grief and purging. I started crying my eyes out and feeling so blessed and feeling so proud of myself for handling my life the way I have the past year or so, and everything that's happened, and there was no more anxiety. And what happened here was I stopped lying to myself. I stopped kidding myself. I stopped blowing smoke up my own ass that, oh, I'm fine. It's okay. I'm not upset. The reason I was thinking those thoughts was because, no, I was upset. I was not okay, but I was afraid to admit that. And see, when I admitted how I was feeling, my body finally felt heard. My body felt validated. My body, over that 3 days of chronic anxiety, was like my child, my inner child, screaming for my attention. And as I was talking about earlier, we often live in the realm of thinking. We're a majority in our mind. And I'd been so invested in my mind that I was neglecting my inner child, my inner feeling dimension. And as I was saying, the body can't speak in words. It speaks in feeling. It speaks in feelings. And the only way that my body could get my attention, the attention of the mind, was to resort to anxiety. Triggering this feeling of, I'm not okay, I'm not okay, I'm not okay, I'm not okay. And eventually it got my attention. I said, whoa, I don't feel good. And I tried to go off into a dimension of, oh, I'm just not thinking positively enough. Here, let me think more positive and watch more positive videos and ignore the negativity and just stay steadfast on the positive train of thought and all this stuff. But that was honestly nonsense. That was making it worse. And what I realized was that it's more positive to feel the negativity than it is to push the negativity away and think positive. The name of the game here, guys, is authenticity. Authenticity means owning where you are. Because what's entailed in owning where you are is intelligence, emotional intelligence, to say, I'm not okay, I don't feel good. And see, what I was doing was denying that entire dimension of feeling within myself. I was saying, essentially, I share this a lot on the channel, I was saying, my feelings are wrong. Here, let me think my way out of it. And I think that's what a lot of us do. A lot of us try to think our way out of how we're feeling, when really the remedy here is to be with your feelings. Because your feelings are begging for your attention. And this experience, this sort of nervous breakdown that I had a couple weeks ago, it blew my mind that my body is so intelligent that it's able to induce feelings of paranoia and anxiety and dis-ease within me to get my attention. Because my body understands that I'm living in a toxicity of mind, too much thinking. And so what it does is it creates these feelings of lack of well-being. And since they can't say, hey, this is what's wrong, it just creates these feelings of, I'm not okay, I'm not okay, I'm not okay. And what that does is it gets the mind's attention. The mind is kind of like the parent of the inner child of your body to say, okay, what's wrong here? It causes you to sort of recalibrate a little bit. Like when you have a child that's crying and you can't tend to it because it can't tell you what's wrong, it causes you to have to sort of gather yourself and say, what's wrong? What do you need? How can I help? It causes you to let go of the la-la land of mind that you're living in and to tend to your body, to tend to the other qualities of yourself. And it blew me away that my body is that intelligent. That my body is conscious enough to know that my mind is out of sync with it. We naturally want to be in union. We naturally want to be in harmony and in alignment between mind, body, and spirit. But we all get lopsided. We all get imbalanced. Whether we're living too much in our feelings and not tending to the mental faculty that's sort of pointing the way out of those feelings or how to bring those feelings into balance, or we're living too much in the mind and invalidating our feelings and disregarding our feelings and pretending we're fine when we're not, we get all weird. We get all out of balance. And then we wonder, why is my life so horrible? Why did none of my relationships work? Why am I overweight? Why am I so stressed? Why am I so depressed? Why am I so anxious? Why is my life in complete chaos right now? It's because we don't have the tools to inquire within, to tend to our own bodies and our own heart and our own feelings. Your body is speaking to you in every single moment. When you have a thought about when you have like a vision of a dream that you have and your body fills with these flutters and these sparkles of excitement and euphoria and courage and, oh my God, this would be amazing. But then your mind says, no, that's unrealistic. Come on, come down to reality. I don't have what it takes. Nah, my parents won't like that. Nah, my friends or my partner won't like that. No, they won't approve of me. Nah, we can't do that. And then your body, your feelings, your inner child goes, oh, okay, we can't do that. You snub out your own well-being. The mind is in dissonance from the body. When you think of like relationship chemistry, that often comes about through an innate feeling. You don't choose to fall in love. You don't say, hey, you over there, I'm going to choose to be attracted to you and to like envision a future with you and to feel all these feelings of excitement and attraction to you. I'm going to choose you. You don't choose that stuff. Somebody comes into your life, whatever way that may be, and your body reacts immediately. It responds with immediate emotional response, which is beyond the intellect. And it's up to the mind to go with it, to flow with it, to respond to what the body is saying in regard to this person coming into your life, or to say, no, I'm afraid. The last time I felt these feelings and went with it, I got hurt, and I don't want to get hurt again, so I'm gonna say no to this relationship. It's about heart-mind coherence. There's so many people who like what I just said, they get in a relationship and it's amazing and beautiful, and then something happens and they break up. And the person is obviously heartbroken and distraught and despairing. And then, what do they say to themselves? What does the mind say? I'm never loving again. I could never do that again. I'm not doing that. That's horrible. I'm just better off alone. That's not the reality of how they feel. That's a defense mechanism because the last time they opened up, they got hurt. The same thing goes with where you have a pet, and you have that pet for 10, 15 years, and then the pet passes away, and you say, I'm never getting a pet again, because the loss of that pet is way too hard. But see, let me ask you this. Was that moment, was all that time you spent with that person or that pet not worth it solely because of the period of grief that you had in response to losing it? Was all that love and beauty and joy and growing not worth it because of the pain you felt when it came to an end? There's a quote and it says, fearing love, it says, rejecting love because you're afraid of heartbreak is like rejecting life because you're afraid of death. They go together, man. They go together. It's heart-mind coherence. And see, our body is talking to us in every passing moment. See, when you're in a situation and you're about to make a choice, what is your body saying? Let's say it's a business deal or the opportunity to get a new job or to move somewhere. And you're like, your mind's all excited about like, ooh, oh my God, this could be it. I'm going to do it. But your body's saying, I don't know, man. Who do you want to listen to? It's a balance. It literally is a balance. And this is what's so critical about creating a healthy, open dialogue between the heart and the mind. Because as I've been stating throughout this whole video, we often grow in such a way where there's a dissonance between the heart and the mind, the body and the mind. We're severed from each other. They're not able to communicate. And you're one unit, whether you like it or not. You are one complete unit of body, mind, and soul. You're one unit. You're all of it. But the mind can become toxified. The mind can become overly present, overly dominant. The mind can reject and deny how the body feels. And so this forces an imbalance, a power imbalance within your own body. You're not doing anybody, the only person you're hurting by creating this imbalance is yourself. Where you're not able to come to clean decisiveness, to confidence in your actions. You're not able maybe even to come into a place of well-being in your life because of a story you're telling yourself and a story that you're living in. Whatever that may be too. Our body naturally wants to be in alignment. But see, that alignment requires courage and faith and discipline. Think about the discipline it takes a parent to listen to their child crying, not knowing why they're crying, and going through the task of trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with my baby. That takes a lot of discipline. And a lot of parents probably have breakdowns, nervous, emotional breakdowns, frustration, depression, anger, anxiety, panic, not knowing what's wrong with my baby. And they try to figure it out. They run around like a chicken with their head cut off trying to figure it out. And that's the exact same situation that's going on within our bodies and our whole being. Is if you're living a certain way in your life and you think you got it all together and you're doing the thing, you're doing your daily life, but you wake up and you feel just this chronic weight of anxiety or nihilism, feeling like, dude, this is all meaningless. I don't like my life. And I'm speaking in the sense of feelings now, not thoughts. Feelings. You have a feeling of just like meaninglessness, of grayness, of dullness, of numbness, of anxiety. Like in my case, a couple weeks ago, a feeling of anxiety. You wake up and you're just anxious and you don't know why. Or you're depressed. You wake up and you're just depressed. Or maybe you're constantly frustrated. One thing happens and it pisses you off. Or you don't have any sense of direction. Or you feel really insecure, where you walk by a mirror and you see yourself and you're like, oh, it's disgusting. And remember, these aren't thoughts, these are feelings. Your mind may be in a different dimension. Your mind, more often than not, when you're feeling those kinds of heavy feelings, denies and invalidates those feelings. Where when you're insecure, your body feels insecure, you feel like you feel ugly, you feel gross, you feel like you're not pretty enough or good looking enough or fit enough or whatever, the mind overcompensates in an arrogant kind of way. It says, no, I'm all that. The most arrogant, macho, overconfident kind of people are often the most insecure. And the reason that is because they think that the way to alleviate the anxiety or the insecurity is to act more secure, to act more confident, to say it on the outside. But see, when you're acting confident, but you feel insecure, your action is empty. It means nothing. It's hollow. There's no ground to it. There's nothing within it. It's like, and that's what often characterizes the ego. The ego has a hard outer shell, but it's completely soft and tender and void within it. We overcompensate with our minds. Like I was a couple weeks ago where I was feeling really anxious, and rather than sort of softening into the anxiety, I came to the conclusion, oh, I'm just not thinking positively enough. Here, I gotta think more positive. be positive, love, light, manifestation, law of attraction, beauty, love, 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 think positive. That's a cop-out. That's a cover-up. That's an act of insecurity. That's an act that coming from a lack of faith. What you want to do is to lean into how you're feeling. If you're pissed off and you're constantly frustrated, do yourself a favor and sit down and let yourself feel what you're feeling. Our emotions often create an oscillating effect where when there's resistance to the emotion, when you feel anger, you get angry because you're angry. When you feel depressed, you get more sad because you're sad. When you're overthinking, you start overthinking the fact that you're overthinking. When you're anxious, you start getting anxious because you're anxious. This is resistance. And it's an oscillating effect that makes it harder and harder and harder for you to see the way through. But see, the way through is to allow. Stop fighting it. Stop denying how you feel. Who are you fooling? You may be getting the outside world, like let's just say you're really insecure, but you put on a good show of being confident. You may convince the outside world that you got it all together and you're confident as can be and you love yourself and all this stuff. But meanwhile, you're empty inside. And because you know on a subconscious level that your front, your persona, your mask of confidence is fake, and that's what everybody loves, you're going to feel increasingly more and more alone because you can't fool yourself. So now not only do you feel alone, but now everybody on the outside likes a version of you that doesn't even exist. What you want to do is to admit how you feel. And I don't mean to bring up like masculine and feminine archetypes here, but I think it is a very feminine quality to be precisely where you are and to allow it. The toxic masculine trait is to push through it. Brute, force, I got this. I'm not going to succumb to those feelings. If I feel insecure when I look in the mirror, I'm going to go to the gym and get ripped so that everybody else thinks I'm something great. I'm not going to feel those feelings. Are you fine? Yeah, I'm fine. You know, it's force, it's brute, it's tension, it's resistance. And I think what a lot of us could benefit from is the tender softness and nurturing quality of the feminine. To let go. Stop fighting it. What are you trying to live up to? Don't you want to come into a place of authenticity? You know that moment where somebody's been doing something that's been bothering you and they've done it for a really long time, but you haven't talked about it because you're afraid of conflict and don't want to rustle their feathers, and you just start to build up all this resentment? And then finally the moment comes where you talk and you realize that they meet you right where you're at. They respect you. They reciprocate. They understand. They hear you. They validate you. And you talk. You share your feelings, and then they share their feelings. And afterwards, you literally come out of it feeling like high. At least I do. When I finally have that conversation. It's like, ah. You know what I'm talking about? That relief, that refreshing feeling of coming into truth, of no longer playing pretend. You come into reality and you admit how you feel. You say, hey, I've felt like crap the past couple weeks from what you've been doing. Or, hey, I don't know if this is like, I don't know if I like this, or whatever it is, you know? The idea here is admitting how you're feeling. You admit it. And they reciprocate you because they respect you. And you realize, they're here for me. They get me. They vibe with me. And you come out of the conversation feeling so good, on top of the world. Why do you think that is? What's responsible for that feeling of rejuvenation that comes from having a deep, real-ass conversation? I'll tell you what it is. It's the mind, heart, and body coming into alignment. You're not out of alignment. You're not thinking one thing and then feeling another thing. You're not acting one way and then thinking in another way. You're not saying one thing but then feeling another way. We get ourselves absolutely tangled up into a snare by trying to uphold an image or to convince ourselves or other people that we're a certain way, or I don't feel, no, I'm happy as can be, you know? We lie, we lie, we lie, we lie, we lie. We make believe, we wear a mask. We try to fool ourselves. But I'm telling you right now, guys, you're only making it worse. You're only making it harder on yourself. And in the same way, to bring up the analogy I shared in the very beginning, think about the refreshing feeling you feel where your baby's crying their ass off and then you find out that all they wanted was to be held. Or they were hungry. Or they wanted a change of clothes. Or they wanted you to grab that toy that they couldn't reach. That feeling as a parent that comes about of, that's coming into harmony with you and the child. Or, as I was stating a moment ago, when you finally have that deep-ass talk and you come into alignment, you meet each other in the moment, and then you come out of it, and your relationship, whatever that relationship may be as well, is thriving all of a sudden. Because you had the balls to say how you really felt. And the very same thing happens inside of your body alone. Where when you stop lying to yourself, for whatever reason you're lying, when you own it, and you say, this is how I feel, your body comes into alignment and every level of you begins to harmonize together. And you're able to operate as a whole, holistic unit. Complete flow, man. Complete flow. You're not pushing or pulling. You're not grabbing at or running away from. You're not thinking in one way but then feeling another. You come into harmony, man. And harmony is effortless. And effortless is your natural nature. So what I want to emphasize for you guys in this video is to come into harmony. If you're watching this video and you're feeling a certain way right now, maybe your body is asking for your attention in an area that you've maybe been neglecting. If you can bring the body, mind, into spirit and spirit into harmony, profound transformations will take place in your life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy it, before you click off, leave a like on this video. It's very simple, but it helps these videos go a long way and helps the video get recommended to people like you who may really need to hear this kind of stuff. And if this is your first time on the channel, this is your first time ever watching a video from me, and you like this stuff and it resonates with you, go to the channel and subscribe because I post stuff like this every single week. It's what I do and I love it so much. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.